2024 is stacked when it comes to role-playing games, and as I am a role-playing YouTuber, I often think, which of these titles are worth discussing for my YouTube audience? Eiyuden Chronicle is one such game where I saw the potential right away, a Suikoden retro revival. Wonder what that's like. Well, let's cut right to the chase here. If you're a fan of Suikoden, you're probably already playing this. Let's be real, there's not been a game of a similar style in many, many years. And I don't think there's ever going to be another game unless this specific team is making it, as team members from those original titles are working on Eiyuden Chronicle. Me, though, I've never played a Suikoden. I've played every single PS1 RPG, except for it. Essentially, I'm a Suikoden novice, which makes me have a unique perspective when it comes to this review. I'm not familiar with prior games. I have no nostalgia of any kind. I do know what it's like to play a PS1 RPG, and the distinct texture that resides with it. So while it's true I am a novice to the Suikoden series, I am no stranger to 90s RPGs. And let me tell you, buddy, this is 90s RPGs solidified, updated to modern consoles. The game starts out, our protagonist, Noah, has just joined the Watch, a member of the League of Nations. And his first mission is a rather extensive one, to cooperate with the Empire in locating a ruin on their territory. Said ruin contains a magic MacGuffin, and the Empire and the League of Nations section team up, beat the robot, get the magic MacMuffin. And it doesn't take long for the obviously evil, large shoulder pad wearing antagonist, second in command of the Empire, to start making political power plays now that he has the magical MacGuffin. It's not hard to see the writing on the walls that, yeah, war might be coming. Everyone's noticing it. Literally everybody but our protagonist is aware that, yeah, that was not a good move. The partnership made sense at the time, but the butterfly effect is a cruel mistress. As far as plot goes, you have an anti-war campaign based in a fantasy world, where our protagonist, Noah, has 100 heroes to recruit, not all directly contributing to combat, but you build your army up over time, and frankly, it sounds pretty stock, but the narrative has its moments. It definitely has hills and valleys. Also, just collecting the 100 heroes is fun. It's true, not every hero has a dynamic, complicated backstory. But sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's alright to just meet a character. They have their little introductory vignette. Their character trope is just, out to sea. There's a guy who's like, yes, I love to smell. I smell war coming. By the way, kill some boars. And there's a tsundere girl, a magical girl, a girl that I'll say I'm not a fan of her, and a shark dude. They're varied, and I'll be honest, that was the main appeal of the game for me. The combat systems are very standard. Now, depending on your perspective, this can be a positive or a negative. Personally, I love complex battle systems. I don't care how many tutorials you give me. If the combat is exhilarating, I'll read them all. You can throw 20 tutorials my way, and I would read each of them with glee and a glint in my eye. However, I don't think every RPG should be like that, and rather refreshingly for me, Eiyuden Chronicles is a fair bit simpler. Your units can attack, defend, cast magic, all that sort, but also unleash special moves using their magical lenses. I love these a lot, and they're rather surprising, some of the extreme amount of detail they put into these animations. It's a shame, because specifically the hero combo system, these are the coolest looking moves in the whole game. The amount of detail they put into them. And yet, they do no damage. I swear to God, I've been playing this game for hours. I've yet to see one hero combo that out-damage just using 2 singular lens attacks. To use these hero combos, you have to eat up a resource that slowly recharges throughout the fight. You could just use 2 of those instead of the hero combo, which consumes roughly the same amount of lens usages. Didn't make much sense to me. Maybe I'm bad. I don't know. But for 90% of the battles in Eiyuden Chronicles, you are going to use the auto battle system, where characters will go down a list of their pre-described actions and just do whatever you prescribe them to do. It reminds me of the softest form of the Gambit system from Final Fantasy XII. Some people love that, some people hate that. And while it's true this is a watered-down system, it's 6 characters instead of 3. It performs a lot better, and it's a lot more simple when you only have 4 actions to go through. However, I don't recommend auto-battling the bosses. The bosses in this game are very involved. And they all are unique. That is like the biggest achievement in my mind. Sometimes a boss fight is just, okay, he hits me, I hit him. And this game doesn't do that. You have these special actions you can select, and one of them, you have to whack this like enemy with a hammer. Another one you have to hide behind some rocks. And I don't want to spoil too much, but it's not an insanely unique concept to have every boss fight be distinct, but they pulled it off in a cool way, in my opinion. However, Eiyuden Chronicle is a game of hills and valleys. The opening hours of the title are incredible. Then it starts to show its age a bit. The word quality of life springs to mind when playing Eiyuden Chronicle. Now keep in mind, I'm a hardcore RPG fan. I have played some truly sadistic RPGs. However, these are usually from the past. And since Suikoden, we have had roughly 30 years of innovation. Did I want 2x speed for some of the auto battles? Yes, but I could do without. Was I caught off guard a little bit when you save at a safe station and it didn't fully heal your party? Yes, however I could see the benefit of that. There are some things though that I simply can't overlook, like our in-game map, not having titles for the towns. Is Noah our protagonist illiterate? Does he not possess a quill? I can overlook some things, like when you enter a barren desert level and there are virtually no sound effects as Noah's feet pitter-patter on the sands. Or how I need to actively head back to our camp to add new party members to our squad, as that's where they live, at our camp. But there are just some aspects to this game that just genuinely confused me. Like there's an accessory to make Noah run faster, when there is already a circle button in game that just doesn't do anything but let Noah RP walk. He just, he walks. That could have just been the spread. That, in fact, the running boots could have just been the default speed. I don't think anybody would have complained about that. You also can only change your runes at a rune shop, as far as I understand. And while that, yet again, does make sense, a similar system used to be in an MMO I used to play, where you had to physically interact with this book. It was in all the major cities to, like, do this thing on your character, which makes sense in the lore. But then they took it out. And like, okay, that was, yeah, it's just better if we could select it. That's quality of life. Quality of life is a good thing, okay? So if you're a type of player that hates being minorly inconvenienced like that, I cannot recommend Eiyuden Chronicles. But for those who like 90s RPGs or would like to play something a little different, maybe this is up your alley. The sheer volume of minigames I also have to commend. RPGs have been lacking in the minigame department lately. This used to be a celebrated aspect, at least in the 90s, and I think that's in one way games have definitely regressed. The sheer amount of game modes did take me by surprise. It's not just, hey, turn-based battles. We love turn-based battles, but spicing it up, a little bit of variety never hurt anybody. There's also these war battles. I don't know how many of those are in the game, but they're extremely flashy. The reality is, though, that this is not a strategy game. I did not even understand the tutorials my first time playing, and I won. I don't think that's how that should work. Maybe there's harder versions of these war battles because they put a lot of time, they put a lot of work into them, and it's like playing checkers against yourself. I'm sorry, but it's true. And while I don't like to focus on the negative, the localization in this game is a little odd. I'm going to be frank with you. There's a character that she said something along the lines of, oh no, this chud guy. And I thought that was like a fantasy race of this game I was unfamiliar with. I was like, what? I mean, we got elves, kangaroos, and sharks. What's a chud? Little did I know, that's current age internet lingo. I didn't want to look that up on Urban Dictionary and even learn that. And there's just some other stuff where like the, biker character who's, he's a fun character. I liked him, but he calls Noah cousin instead of Aniki. Now, if you played enough Yakuza, you know what Aniki means. Like, that's big brother, right? Like, everybody knows that. But they went with cousin. Why did they go with cousin? We already figured out what this is. You call him usually big bro. That's not the true, meaning behind Aniki. Well, those are just two examples of times where I do audibly pause and be like, what the frig? Like, that didn't sound right. Recommending Eiyuden Chronicle to everyone isn't something I can do, as it's a very particular flavor RPG for a very particular audience. However, I think it does have promise in that niche. It doesn't reinvent the wheel and isn't going to have any twists that break your brain or anything. But what it does right, it does very right. And collecting all 100 heroes is so fun. It is really fun when you hear that jingle and you're like, yes, I got another one. This one, he doesn't fight. His skills are strictly administrative, but that's awesome. And if their goal was to make a game with that distinct style and feeling, to recapture that simple moment while having, an anti-war story, just how futile and pointless it all is, then I give them praise. They stuck to their guns and they did what they wanted to do. In short, it's closer to a Bloodstain than a Mighty Number 9. I hope you enjoyed my review.